Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an impromptu video from very, very sunny and pleasantly warm Bournemouth. It's about 7:15 in the evening, and I'm just recording from outside of Bournemouth College. I thought I'd show you this building to kickstart the video because this was being renovated for the past 2 years or so, and they've just recently taken down the scaffolding. And in that time, they've also added a couple of buildings to the left there behind those buses, those two there. As you may or may not be able to hear, in the background there's a little bit of din. We have a couple of demonstrations today, excuse me, and you know, everyone has an opinion on things nowadays. I keep hearing that being said almost in an attempt to shut me up or to have other people shut up or whatever. But isn't that a good thing that we all have opinions? Because maybe we can even, you know, learn from those sorts of things in future, right? So, and basically, when I see things like this, on one side of the roundabout, you have, I'm just describing, right? There are banners here, for example, no human is illegal, and just basically a humanitarian message, Palestinian flags, some George crosses, and all that, right? And even a Guernsey flag there right at the beginning, right at the front there, which I recognise. That's where my granddad came from, I should say. And then on the other side of the street, you have, just try and get out the sun. Let me just get the camera. On the other side of this roundabout, you have a pro-UK, pro-Britain, England first, Britain first, if you like, kind of demonstration. And they are placed there strategically right outside the roundhouse, which is that building that's round in the background, because that building houses some immigrants or whatnot. People, when I say or whatnot, what I mean is their status, whatever the status may be. You know, I actually spoke to a friend about this a little while back, and I got to speak to a couple of people who were staying in that very hotel. And when I spoke to them, thank you. When I spoke to them about, you know, just generally how you doing here and all that, they spoke English. And you know how they got here to England? By plane, by aeroplane. All right. I don't know about you, but coming from Sudan and getting a flight to the UK, I find quite a challenging undertaking. But anyway, that's not even the point, because that's surface level stuff, and that's what they, again, want us to focus on. They want us nicely divided and buying into all this stuff. There is no right and wrong in all of this. There's nothing wrong in being pro your homeland, and there's also nothing wrong with saying everybody's welcome. I agree with both. Unfortunately, it's not about that. This is all about an agenda that has its own narrative. And this, what we're seeing here, these two counter demonstrations, are just part of the tools in that massive toolkit that the powers that are have at their disposal. It keeps things simmering nicely, it keeps things disjointed, people stressed, and also, of course, it produces, unfortunately, very distasteful reactions by people on both sides who buy into this, forgetting that there are much greater powers behind all of this, right? These two demonstrations, they literally typify perfectly what's going on in terms of an agenda, right? You're either this or you're that. No. Look at the bigger picture. Think about who's running the show and try and look a little bit beyond the 7th Prime Minister in 10 years. That, for example, should give people a little clue as to what a dog and pony show it all is, as the Americans would call it. Right? It is pathetic, and yet people still believe in the political system and still believe in the democratic process here in the UK. There's no such thing. There never has been one, there never will be one. It's packaged with lots of words. Yeah? It's all an absolute nonsense, and this is a waste of people's time on both sides. It's futile, and it pains me, it actually upsets me a little bit, and I feel sad for both, because they don't get it. They're pawns in a much bigger game. pro-British, anti-British, pro-left, pro-right, middle, central, centre-left, centre-right, all fucking nonsense, excuse my language, but I'm going to swear now because it really winds me up. It really does wind me up that people fall for this crap, right? Seriously. So when I have arguments and end up unfriending people who, you know, academically no doubt are cleverer than me and stuff, but they don't like my standpoint because I have a gollywog, let's say, for example, in the background of my videos. Well, the reason I do that is because I don't fall for the agendas that are telling everybody how to behave. That's the reason. Not because I've got an infatuation for being awkward or rebellious or have any sort of political lenience or any sort of, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, I'm not centre, I'm not middle, I'm not left, not right, not down. I'm just fine, I'm sensible and I'm observant. And buying into all of this is exceedingly dangerous. Alright? Right, I lost my thread a little bit, but it's easily done. Anyway, I thought I would just bring that to you because, unfortunately, that is the reality. This apparently happens every Friday. I didn't know, I was told earlier. And so, yeah, you've got a regular kind of thing going on here. I'll have a little walk around and I'll just show you.
Say it loud, say it clear. Blame the billionaires. Blame the billionaires. Blame the billionaires. Blame the billionaires. When refugees are under attack, what do we do?
Interestingly, there's a chap there, I don't know if you saw that, filming me, probably thinking I'm working for the other side, but of course I'm not working for any side, I'm just literally just documenting in the name of citizens journalism, really, more than anything else. But let's get around the other side. Excuse the dodgy camera work. Let's go down here. We had this once when we did a vigil a few years ago. Down in Bournemouth Gardens, an attempt to get people together. Everybody was affected by what went down in terms of the lockdowns and all the rest of it that went on in 2020, right? And right opposite our vigil, where people were uniting, getting together, understanding each other's plights, thank you, and basically trying to get their heads around what had happened and help each other regardless of what side of any fence anybody was on. They insisted on allowing an LGBTQ plus demo right across the pathway from us in the same gardens. That had never happened before. And there's the point right there. What they were demonstrating for, as respectful as I might be towards that cause, if you like, but they were equally affected by what we were stood there for. Or what was the reason for them then getting in our way, and you know what I mean, and not allowing that general message to get through. There was no side angle to it, there was no agenda angle to it, it was just simply a compassionate vigil. But then you have people who invest in a particular topic because it's been sold to them to do so, or who knows they're being sponsored to do so, or whatever the reasons are, or they're just simply misguided because they think you can change what you are as a human and change your chromosomes, you know, in your duration on Earth, whatever, you know, deluded thinking. Yeah. I'm just gonna, I think, probably leave you with this picture because it's a gorgeous building. Like I said in the outset of this video, this is Bournemouth College, and they spent 2 years refurbishing it. It's a cracker. Yeah, and this is right on Lansdowne roundabout, which is here. And then that goes into town. To the left down that road there, and it will go take you right down, all the way down into Bournemouth Square. Yeah, so I got my messages a little bit jumbled there in terms of I lost my thread a little bit, but I think you get my gist, right? And this makes me a bit sad, you know, when I think back to my grandparents, whether it's my German grandparents or my British grandparents, who went through the war years and all that, on both sides, by the way. People suffered on both sides, which everybody seems to forget when they teach history. And you know, and I thought to myself, you know, all the toil and work they did, and the displacement of people in their millions, right, and all the rest of it. And then you think to yourself, well, for what? Now I understand what's going on. Yeah, there's a bigger picture to all of this. There is a power much greater than the politicians and the bankers and all that you see that run this world, right? You see them at the Football World Cup right now, Masonic symbols galore. Everywhere you look, one-eyed symbolism, Baphomet symbolism, vow of silence symbolisms, you know, pyramid, the pyramid symbolism, all that stuff. Colours, numbers, numerology. It's just constant now, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. They're actually revealing more and more, obviously, now who's in charge and who's running things. And people need to start opening their eyes, and I'm being serious on that. I know it's kind of a bit of a cliched sort of phrase. You start opening your eyes, start waking up. But honestly, because this here, whichever side you pick, is absolute flipping, I'm not going to swear again, nonsense. It's a waste of time. The only people this serves are the ones running the show. And that's that. And they don't reside in Downing Street or in the White House or in the Bundestag in Germany or anywhere else for that matter, of a political nature. Okay, I've said enough before I say too much. Apart from that, a glorious day, not a cloud in the sky, he says, crossing his fingers and hoping that it remains so, but also, he says, knowing it ain't gonna. But it is a gorgeous day today. And yeah. So I'll end on a high and just say, yeah, it looks like the weather's going to be looking up for the next few days, which is lovely. So get out and enjoy it if you can. You know, life's too short. And yeah, I'll just leave that there. Okie dokie. So, on that note, thanks for tuning in, and I'll speak to you all soon, some of you sooner. Until then, take it all easy. Have a lovely weekend, and come on, England. And ta-ta for now.